So a couple of weeks ago, Shill Gates, and I get it, like he's newer to the ecosystem and stuff, and we probably do, as people that have been involved with Hex for a few years now, take for granted that, and like, I think you may have just taken it for granted, Ewok, and I probably do too. That you were about to say, like, our viewers know this and everything. Maybe as we get into this bull market, people don't like that. Hex staking, whether short, long term, whatever. What makes it different than other staking mechanisms, like in other ones, you could be dealing with middlemen, you could be dealing with other sorts of DeFi that's more like a liquidity providing, where you can just pull out your principal at any time and collect the fees that you earn or whatever it is. But Hex staking is a specific smart contract that you can decide on how many days that you stake it, up to 5,555. And you get bonuses for the bigger the total Hex stake is and the longer that you stake it. Now, I don't know all the details within that, and Ewok could speak to them better than me. He could speak better to the T-shares and stuff. But I do know that if you unstake early, is it anything before the halfway mark that the whole stake is nuked, right? Like, you don't just lose your interest, you lose the principal. And I've just known, like, anytime I've made a Hex stake in my entire history, because I understood that what it was, I have known that is gone, like, until I'm unstaking it. Like, I'm not ever planning on unstaking that.
Yep.
So
anyway. the rule is the more days you serve, the more of your principal you get back, up unto 50% of the time served, which 50% does equal 100% of your principal that was originally staked. Now, there are different rules for under 90 days, I believe, not 180 days. There are different set of rules for that, because halfway is 90. Yeah, there's a different set of rules if it's a short-term stake. But either way, just know that if you don't at least serve 50% of your time, you are going to lose principal. If you don't serve, I think, a quarter of your time, you're going to lose all of it. At 25% is when I think the principal starts to kick in, that you do earn some of the principal back. But if you don't make it to 50%, you are losing all the yield that you got, all the big payday bonus, if there was any of that. You lose all of that. That's all gone. It's funny. You can wait 99.99% of the stake. If you don't fulfill that, you do lose that big payday bonus too. So you have to serve the full one to get the big payday. If you had staked before day 365, or 361, or whatever day it was, when the big payday bonus ended, you have to serve the full term, or you lose all of that bonus. As far as the yield that you go, the daily yield, after 50%, you will get some of that. But yeah, if you don't serve it, and I can understand why he felt it was, I didn't like the word he used, because I think
that's what I was just going to say. Yeah.
It was the way it was worded, where he said it was predatory.
Yeah, I disagree with that.
And that was a very bad way to put it. Either way, this is all gone. I mean, this is old news, that whole thing. But people must understand the contract that they're making before they do it. They really should understand the rules. If you look up the layman's guide, it's out there. It gives the formula, it gives the rules. And then if you early unstake, there's a big warning that pops up, boom, on your screen, right, if you're using the HEX protocol. Now, if you end it on another one, say you use the Icosa app, or I think Maddie's the T-share app.tshare.app or whatever it is.
I have it somewhere.
Yeah, I have it too. I think there's a warning on that one as well. But at least it pops up if you try to early end stake. It says, please know what you're doing and know the outcome before making this decision. And, unfortunately, people don't read. And I guess there's one way to learn, and that's to really screw up and lose whatever you decided to lose because you didn't pay attention. It sucks. But the mechanism works that way because it rewards the people that do, right? So it's not, I mean, 50% of it goes to all the stakers. The other 50 goes to the OA, which we can consider that burnt or whatever, staked now, if they're going to start staking that all. So yeah, it's just a matter of knowing what you're doing and paying attention to the rules. So that's what that really comes down to. And again, unfortunately, the wording was off, and I think that's why people got really bent out of shape about it. But is what it
So
is.
I understood, and yeah, I don't care as much about the shill gates part of it, but I do think it may be important to like actually approach like how the staking mechanism works, because we probably do take it for granted. Like last cycle, all there was HEX, and there were plenty. I mean, all that was going on were people out there teaching you how to do HEX stakes, or how maybe you could set them up, or what a staking ladder is. That stuff's not out there now. Like
Right.
we're just not making that content anymore because there's a blockchain now. There's liquidity providing. There's PulseX. Now this is this goddamn meme cycle. There's all these other distractions. So some of the education isn't there. And we, as people that have just been in the ecosystem for years now, like I cannot sit here and tell you every aspect of the HEX staking system anywhere near like you or a Crispy Man or an Axis could. I definitely can't. But one thing I know and have known for sure since the beginning is that if I make a stake, that I made the stake. I'm not ending the stake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless obviously, people have like weird random emergencies or whatever, unless it's something absolutely life threatening, there's no way I'm going to touch that. You know what I
Right.
mean? I do
The
agree with
only
okay.
the only time I can recommend that is gone. It has gone and passed. There was one time where early unstaking was the right thing to do for a lot of people, and that was before the big payday. For those who had staked for 200 days or whatever, they had served over half of it. They got their principal back, and they decided to put it out longer. That was probably a right move because of the big payday bonus and the more T-shares that they got at that point. Remember, early on, HEX started, one T-share was 10,000 HEX per T-share.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're up over 40,000. It's quadrupled since then, at least. So it's gotten much tougher to accumulate them. You have to put them out longer and longer. There was only one time in my mind. Obviously, everybody has a different situation. Emergencies come up. I get it. You do what you've got to do. You just understand the ramifications of it. That's all that we ask. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Just, I mean, yeah, the stakes that I've made, no reason to early end stake them. If you do a ladder, there's no reason you should have to. You always will have one coming out. So,
yeah. That's really the key. Yeah. The planning the end at the beginning. You know what I mean? Like and that's the other thing. Like I'm sure Shill Gates probably didn't know a lot about like HEX staking ladders. A lot of people advocated for that, like not staking 100% of your HEX holdings, maybe doing half of them and then having a 10 to 15 year staking ladder, do one once a year, twice a year, once a quarter, whatever it is. I mean, there's so many ways to do it that we've talked about for years now. And I think it's just a product of, a relatively big account on Twitter that's within Pulse Chain now being new to the ecosystem. I did have a problem with him calling it predatory. I don't think there's any, who's encouraging it. Like, yeah, I don't see anybody rubbing their hands together like Mr. Burns in the corner, hoping that, you lose all your money. I do agree with him on this. He was talking about like, it was gross. Like sometimes when you see the people celebrating somebody nuking a stake, I mean, I can kind of understand that because you don't know what that person's life predicament is. Who knows, what they are. It's nice to be able to earn their yield or whatever, but like, I kind of get that, like calling them idiots and all that. I mean, that I can understand.
On the flip side of that, what if somebody's account got hacked? Somebody tried to emergency end stake and that hacker got nothing. There's that.
True. Yeah, that is true.
Guess who got it? All the stakers. So,
yeah,
so I can see in that situation somebody rooting for it and saying, "Ha, here we go."
Right.
You hacker, you didn't know what you were doing either.
You just paid us. Yeah.
Yeah, you paid us. Thanks.
Yeah.
So in that scenario, I would root for it, but
Yeah.
You know, obviously, you know, you're right. If somebody did make a mistake, and well, it sucks, but it's the rules, and it's a it's a smart contract, and you can't change it. So
And Crypto 7 kind of summed it up here. It's common sense that outlandish yield requires outlandish early end stake penalty. I mean,
yep,
yeah, I mean, maybe the exact parameters that, you know, you can't necessarily figure out on your own, but yeah, it does make sense that it's not just put your money in, earn yield, and pull it out at any time. I mean, you know,
yeah,
I mean, if you set something up for a 15-year stake, expecting that you're going to just be able to pull out the principal at any time, I mean, that's not what it is. I mean, I don't know. I am never a fan of anybody running to the victim and playing the victim mindset. I mean, if you make a stake like that without understanding what you're doing, it's your own fault. I mean, it just
yep,
is. And there's plenty of resources out there. I mean, like
yeah,
literally just go. I mean, Frank Molina said this is how he discovered Hex back in the day, just looking up DeFi, you know, yield and staking and stuff like that. Just look up Hex staking for beginners or like how like and I just posted that was a great resource that you mentioned, Ewok, the hex staking layman's guide. I just
yep,
posted that in the chat. It's I mean it's extremely comprehensive. You could
it
not
is.
read this. I mean
Yeah,
you'll never understand it all, and I don't care to. But the main points are all there for
yep,
you. So
everything's there. Plus, you know, all we have to do is say Crypto Coffee. Go to his channel.
yes,
All that stuff is there. Hexologist has all that stuff there. Like, go back, just go, you know, look up that hex staking. There's
yep,
plenty of videos out there, and yes, there is no live streaming on it anymore because there are so many things, but they're out there. Like, the resources are there, and it hasn't changed because it is a locked smart contract. It's the same. It will always be the
right.
same. So,
Nothing's changed. Yeah.
yep,
Yeah, that's probably the best recommendation. Go to like Crypto Coffee or Hexologist from like 2020, 2021 or something, and you will be able to find because that's when everybody needed to know about it. I mean, that's when people were out there
yep,
like, creating content and letting people know how the whole thing works and doing tutorials. So yeah, I would encourage anybody to check that out. And I figure that I don't know what's up the OA's sleeve when it comes to Hex right now with these gigantic stakes that they created today. But we will probably have people coming back wanting to know about staking Hex again and doing that in the bear market and things like that as well. So yeah. But
yeah.
yeah, I did think that it wasn't so much the show Gates part, but I thought it was a good conversation to get back to like what does happen when you make a hex stake like that. So